go. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you didn't go too far away because we have another great game coming up, which will be Ulanska Fantazja facing off against Evil Panda Squad. Now, these two have their own little kind of nuances that we love about them, especially the fact that Ulanska Fantazja, as we mentioned before, did manage to take at least 2 maps of WoT Pro, the big dogs within this season so far. And well, what do I need to say about Evil Panda Squad? These guys are incredible. Everything they do is just fantastic. They went all the way through to the finals in Season 2 to face off against WoT Pro, sadly, to be put to the post for first place, but still, bearing in mind that they finished in 6th position, the final people to make it to those offline finals, it was a really impressive result. So what are your thoughts towards this matchup?
I think it could go one of 2 ways. I think Evil Panda Squad could just obliterate them like 5-0. We saw Spale do against Kazakhstan, or you could just be really close. I mean, Fantazja seems to be one of those teams, as a lot of these new teams are, who obviously have the potential to be incredible. You know, not to mention the 2-all they went against WoT Pro. WoT Pro just about won it on Mines. I think if they play that well here, they'll give Evil Panda Squad a massive run for their money, because Evil Panda Squad, very good offline events, but at the group stages here online, they seem to have a little bit of problems. And I think, honestly, a little bit demoralized from the last weekend where they ended up losing 3-2 at the WCG qualifiers against Mousesports. That certainly won't give them anything to go on. So it could be a close game. I think it'll be a lot closer. Well, it has to be a lot closer than the Spale versus Kazakhstan. So we're in for a bit of a good one, I think.
Yeah, and I can't wait to hear what the people at home will be thinking about this one, because these guys, well, it's easy to go one way on this, but then you've got to take into account just the last Playday's results. Bearing in mind, as I mentioned, WoT Pro struggled against Ulanska Fantazja, a team that's really hard to predict as they are one of the newcomers to this season. So let's give you the idea of how you guys can get involved with us here in the studio and pass you off to the ever lovely Melly, who's waiting in the wings.
Thank you, Lauren. Well, head over to our social media pages and follow us, like us, to stay updated, and follow our Twitch channel as well, so we can, so you get a notification as soon as we get live. So don't miss a thing. Head over to Facebook, to Twitter, follow us, be part of our network, and yeah, I will keep you updated even if you're not able to watch the stream. So. Also, we have a vote on our Facebook page. Head over to facebook.com/WoT Pro League and hand in your vote for your favorite team or your favorite team in the matchup. And also, you have the chance in the comments below to predict the exact outcome of this matchup. And if you're right, I will pick 3 submissions under all right predictions and reward them with bonus codes. So it's definitely worth checking out. Head over to Facebook. And also, be part of our Twitter community. Now, in Twitter, you have the chance to ask our experts anything you like. If you have any questions regarding the game, regarding special tanks or strategies, maybe for maps, then just tweet me by using the hashtag WoT Pro League, and I will ask the questions for you. And the next vote should be up as soon as you see this. And I'm waiting for your submissions.
Well, there you go. Melly is waiting for you guys out there in Twitch chat to get involved via Facebook, via Twitter. So let's help you out here and give you an idea of who you will be seeing in just a second's time, because these two, some of them you may know, some may be slightly new to your eyes, because Evil Panda Squad, they've been here for years, and I have a new box around my face, but there we have it. Now we do see, obviously, the 2 lineups head-to-head. Ulanska Fantazja is the one in my eyes that I need a little bit of kind of clarity on, because they are the newcomers to this season.
Yeah, they're completely new. They did try a couple of times before to try and get into the WoT Pro League, qualifying finally through first place in Go for WoT every Sunday and Tuesday's monthly finals. So for that team, we've got a few notable faces. We've got Crazy Ketchup, a guy I always talk about as being one of the oldest players in the game. He was playing alongside some of the fantastic, Art of Wars, for instance, Incurably Fabs, all those guys back in closed beta. So he's an old guy. He definitely knows how to play. And then we've got another one, Atreus. He was in the infamous team Panzerfist, otherwise known as 1SPP Panzerfist, who actually took 2nd in the first ever World of Tanks offline finals here in Cologne, the Go for WoT All-Stars in 2011. So a couple of really noble players, certainly capable, obviously very capable of taking wins and just getting good results in. But Evil Panda Squad have that virtue as well. We've got Sony and Zenef, the team manager and team captain of Evil Panda Squad, also playing from from the front, although Sony's definitely taking a T1 role. He was their primary artillery player, famously known for hitting absolutely nothing. Sometimes I think he team kill his own players instead of hitting the other team. And then the new players, we've got Mungan, Lucas Yistes come from GF Gaming from last season. And obviously got Ace playing the IS-3, although I'm not sure. Yeah, he's going to be playing today. Fantastic heavy tank player, really stepped it up. And the only other one I would really mention is new multi-show. He's definitely their star player, but sometimes he loses as many matches as he wins.
Yeah, real hit and miss team, these two sometimes, so it's going to be hard to find out who's going to be on form in this because, as you mentioned, they've got players that can either be brilliant or be a bit of a nuisance, let's just say. So let's find out if these guys are ready. I do believe they are to get those tank pickings beginning in any second now. So there we are. They are ready indeed. I had a minor panic there, but what do you think we're going to see here? Because the first map's going to be Ruinberg, which is a bit of a rarity. Normally, we see that going around the 3rd to 4th map.
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one to start on. I think you would have expected, like in the previous matchup, Himmelsdorf to come out first because it's such a reliable map and you're not really going to get any surprises, regardless of how you play it. So Ruinberg, it's a strange one, but it can also throw the teams in the deep end, which I think these two are very capable of dealing with. They like that. They like having the pressure at the beginning. They can deal with the pressure, certainly. But as you said, T1 and T1 T69 has started the tank picks off, and the T69 AMX 3990 from Evil Panda Squad before Ulanska Fantazja take the T1 and the AMX 3090. So back and forwards with a couple of our standard picks as well, but Sony's taking that 5100.
Yeah, now, got to ask you the question here. What sort of picks do you think are going to really define this map?
I honestly don't think something like a Pershing is quite acceptable because it doesn't quite do as much damage. I mean, you take a 5100, which is, I reckon, maybe slightly faster on roads than a Pershing, and it does a lot more damage. But something like a 416, which does have the amazing 320 average damage gun, can certainly make its mark here. As the T1, the MX 3090 was picked, the 5100 and the T69 from Evil Panda Squad, and the same comes from Ulanska Fantazja. Last pick from Evil Panda Squad will be the American T69 Tier 8 medium tank. And from Ulanska Fantazja, I probably would consider the same coming out, although they just picked an IS-3. Well, what can I say about this one?
Does that sound indicative of just a city presence then, or?
Well, the IS-3's very good in the city because the horsepower per ton ratio makes it literally get to its maximum speed, like 40 kilometers to 45 kilometers an hour, straight away. And obviously, it's a very high caliber gun, the 122mm BL9, capable of doing a massive 390 average damage. It can certainly, throw the punches, but it's a bit slow over marshy ground, like towards the green zone. It can get flanked very easily because the turret doesn't turn particularly quickly. It's got gun depression problems, all that kind of thing. But we did see Mousesports take this tank in the NVIDIA GeForce Cup before, so it may work. But it has to be used absolutely perfectly, like the T32 on steps.
Well, it's going to be a pivotal role no matter what it comes down to, because one tank not carrying its weight, let's just say, can really be the downfall of an entire side. So eyes on that IS-3 here, see how they use it within that Ulanska Fantazja side. I can't wait to see how it comes into effect, and especially on Ruinberg, very rare pick here. As you mentioned, we did see Mousesports rolling with it, but it's not a normal thing. But maybe Evil Panda Squad can kind of read into this and already prepare themselves for what could be coming out. So guys, let's get you that video towards Ruinberg.
Ruinberg is one of our newer city maps, and it's fairly large, being 800 by 800 meters. There are three main routes of attack: the roads leading to the city, the road going through the middle, and the village area. Each of these have two important areas to control. The city has very large roads and plenty of opportunities for teams to flank. The long roads also provide for good sniping areas as well as corner shooting. Teams often push through the village area, and once controlled, the team can move on to the enemy's base. You should pick heavy tanks with high alpha damage for corner sniping, as well as a faster tank for the middle spot.
So let's get ready for that first map. As you mentioned, well, as Joe mentioned, should I say, it will be Ruinberg. Now, in the north, in that lovely golden yellow, it will be Evil Panda Squad. And in the south, in the blue, it's going to be Ulanska Fantazja. What are we seeing so far?
So Ulanska Fantazja surprisingly not going towards the city straight away. They're actually sending the IS-3 towards the mini village just south of that main village, and the rest of their tanks indeed. A couple of T1s going to the city as we would expect. For Evil Panda Squad, they're just charging straight up the half moon circle, trying to get the initial damage. They know they have the speed. They know they have that burst potential at the beginning. New multi-show is going to try and find out Atreus, because he probably will be on reload. I think they're just going to have a brawl.
Wow, my word, these guys are not holding back at all. Atreus is in trouble. He's going to have to back away. New Multishow is facing you down right now. The superstar from Evil Panda Squad is smashing the opponent. Eclipse will claim it. But right now, Evil Panda Squad are on top. Rabio is the next focusing of targets. He's down at 315. Ikriam dives in to try and secure at least a little bit of cover, but it's not going well. Right now, Evil Panda Squad have so much of a HP advantage. And look at that, another kill will fall into their lap. And now just two tanks standing out in the open. Eclipse, EJS, New Multishow, all staring them down. Ikarium is in trouble. New Multishow is fairly low though, so he could be eliminated. He is. Mace takes him down, but quickly avenged, at least by Evil Ace taking down Ikarium. And now Eclipse focusing down Mace. I've got to say it, Ulanska Fantazja are being swept aside. Eclipse is just smashing one after the other. He's taken down two already.
Balavi is the only one remaining for Ulanska Fantazja. He's down to 4-3-7 in his AMX 5100, and he's on reload, so he's got to be very careful about how he plays it from here on out. But he's got pretty much a good advantage that he can get out there, and he doesn't really have to worry because he's behind a hill, so he won't be able to get shots on. 2 T1 still remain for Ulanska Fantazja as well. They're going to go for the cap, but I think Lucas is just going to clean this one up.
Yeah, Lucas looks like he wants to deal that final blow towards Balavi, and I think he's going to get it. He's chasing him down. The reload is halfway done, bearing in mind, so Balavi may get a couple of seconds to try and get away, but he's stuck in place. The ram will come into effect. Ace looks like he wants to get into this, but Luke will deal that final blow as that T1 stands now, and that's all they have. And hell, that really is not a lot in this situation. And even Sky Spirit's aware of it. Eclipse has been put down to take him down. And well, I've got to say it, he's taken down at least Sky Spirit there. But that aside, gotta give credit where it's due. Evil Panda Squad only lost one damage-dealing tank, which was New Multishow, who did so much work initially. These guys look insanely good for this one. They will pick up Ruinberg, the first map here. And Evil Panda Squad, you gotta be happy with that one. Guys, that was a walk in the park. They literally went to Ruinberg, thought, oh, there's some enemies in my way. Let me just get them out of the way, and let's look towards that second map, because they made that look so easy. And I want to check in with the damage here just quickly, because it was just a firing squad of Evil Panda Squad. Eclipse picked up 3 kills that time around, hitting 1.9k, fairly, you know, respectable amount, but every single member, excluding Ace, who did, you know, a relative amount, but everyone other than that, excluding the T1s as well, should I just say, hit over the 1k marker. So every single member coming into the perfect position then.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I think Ulanska Fantazja, I'm not sure if they really played into that game so well. I think, honestly, Evil Panda Squad didn't play particularly well. They played it as well as they could have done. They just capitalized on the mistakes of Ulanska Fantazja, and that main mistake was Atreus he was just trying to drive out the half-moon cycle, try and get that initial damage as fast as he could once he had to reload, and he was very close to reloading. But what he didn't expect is Zenith to be able to get his position first because of the spawns they got, and Zenith was really the pivotal player because he could get side shots on while the whole of Ulanska Fantazja was looking towards the middle. And honestly, I think with that IS3, it was just way too late to the party. It made Evil Panda Squad have 5 firing tanks to only 4, and 3 as soon as Atreus went down, which was in the first couple of minutes. I think they should have gone towards the city. I think they should have maybe even gone to that 0 line, head towards the village from there along that road, instead of just going for the brawl, which they would have never really won in terms of the tanks they had.
And the one thing I want to point out here, this was one of the maps that Ulanska Fantazja actually beat Virtus Pro on.
Yeah.
So the disparity between days is unbelievable. Bearing in mind, these guys took down the top team pretty much. You can argue Team Dignitas as well, but no one would say Virtus Pro aren't a top team overall. And to see them going like that, I don't know how on earth they managed to take down Virtus Pro just flying into them, because I just don't see that working. So maybe Ulanska Fantazja not quite warmed up to this one yet, but we'll see how they do going into the next one, which will be Himmelsdorf. So a little bit different there. Obviously, no immediate brawls will begin, even though Evil Panda Squad does favor that kind of random push across the open. But I do believe they are getting ready for the picking. So let's dive into that one. Now, Himmelsdorf is a little bit different to Ruinberg, let's just say, especially in the way we just witnessed it. What sort of picks do you think we're going to see here?
So we'll see your 5100s, your IS3s. Probably a 110 won't come in there. I saw some of the Korean players like that one.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if I feel it's got a place.
It doesn't really, because, okay, its armor is good, but then again, if you have like an IS3, you got 265 penetration, you're not going to worry about the armor that much. You're going to bounce sometimes, but on the whole, you're going to penetrate. And then when you have like the 100mm gun on the 110, I think it's 100mm, it doesn't compare to that 122mm BL9. So it just doesn't do everything as good. And the armor is negated by the penetration of both the MX-5100 sitting at 265 as well as the IS-3. But T1 and the IS-3 is being picked by Ulanska Fantazja, double T1 for Evil Panda Squad, and then Ulanska Fantazja also picking that T1 IS-3. So both teams going for double T1, double IS-3 at the beginning, as we would expect. This is going to branch off into perhaps a double AMX-5100 or a triple AMX-5100 or a triple IS-3 double AMX-5100.
Yeah, and I want to see how this one unfolds. I think you've just called it pretty much perfectly there by what they've gone for.
Yeah, they've picked a double AMX-5100 Ulanska Fantazja, as has Evil Panda Squad, making it double IS-3, double T1, double AMX-5100 for both teams. Ooh. Although Ulanska Fantazja, once again, surprising us, picking that American Tier 8 heavy tank, obviously being the T-32. And the Evil Panda Squad going for the standard pick, the Russian Tier 8 heavy tank, the IS-3. So for Ulanska Fantazja, the T-32, the interesting one, the IS-3 ×2, the AMX-5100 ×2, the T1 ×2, while Evil Panda Squad, standard completely, triple AMX-5100, double IS-3, double T1.
Really interesting choice of that T-32 there. I'm not sure how that's going to come into effect. I'm just trying to think where we can see that really being played. It's not a normal choice, as you mentioned. It seems to kind of step into the role of where we see maybe an IS-3 normally. So I'm looking to see how this one comes into, you know, its positioning, how it comes into play. I think it's Ikarium going to be playing that one, so hopefully he does step up a little bit more than the last map because it was a disaster. So let's look towards how we normally see Himmelsdorf being played.
Himmelsdorf is a city maps of city maps. It's a small one being 600 by 600 meters. There are 3 routes of attack: the hill, the banana and the train side. The middle area is relatively easy to push, however can end up in disaster as you can be flanked from every side. The road, often called banana, allows for direct head-on assaults but requires a lot of resources. Both the railroad area and the road next to it are good routes of attack, being very open and straight. However, for those very same reasons, you can be easily caught out and taken down. The map features many densely housed areas, which provides good places for engagements and routes of attack. Teams must be aware of the various routes their opponents can take through the map, as well as the hull-down positions enemies can take throughout the entire map. The trick with Himmelsdorf is to catch an enemy tank unsupported by his teammates and then use that advantage to collapse on the entire enemy team.
So welcome into the second map. In the north, it will be Evil Panda Squad, currently 1 map up to the good, facing off against the southern, rather blue side of Ulanska Fantazja. What are we seeing so far?
So Slim the Greatest is just jumping straight through the middle of that T1, trying to get as much information as he can. He spotted out Ace in his IS-3 at the beginning, and you can see Ulanska Fantazja really going for that left side, putting most of their tanks there. Rabio PL Belavi in those 25100s sitting up there, Crazy Netvo in his IS-3, and Madge in his IS-3 to the right. The only guy really in the middle and towards that banana is Ikarium in that T-32, which is to be expected since he has the T-32. It's got the great turret armor, the T-54E1 gun though, only 244 penetration, so really will struggle against an IS-3 if you get a little bit unlucky. So Evil Panda Squad sitting towards the banana, completely standard. They are going to start pushing up there a little bit, try and get some shots on. But they're playing the standard stuff. We saw exactly the same from Spale, from Kazaku from this side, Spale from this side. 1 T1 up the hill, 5100 there to back him up, rest of the tank sitting up that banana.
Yeah, and I think that Evil Panda Squad did get a little bit of a glimpse of what the Ulanska Fantazja side was getting up to. And they are pushing down that 2-line quite drastically here. What is going on at the moment?
They're just trying to find as much information as they can. They're looking to try and catch out a couple of the 5100s, definitely from Evil Panda Squad. Obviously, the IS-3 is a very good tank in this position because it is side scraping, or the mouse trick, as we used to call it in the good old days, when the mouse had very big weakness on the side skirts. On the mud flaps, which used to be penetrated by absolutely everything. But they're going to get spotted out by Sky Spirit. Mash is going to have to retreat because Evil Panda Squad react immediately. A couple of the tanks are going to come back, get into defensive positions. The guys from the 8 lines are going to retreat as well. They know that Ulanska Fantazja are on the offensive, and they know how to deal with it.
Yeah, so, well, there we have it. There's that T1 gone, but as you mentioned, he gathered all the information necessary. We are seeing Lucasti and Ace keeping eyes down that D-line, but look at Zenef and Eclipse already back, waiting by the flag. Not going to be overly aggressive here. Numolcho adjusting as well to deal with anything across that central reservation, and they pretty much have it all on lock right here. As you mentioned, side scraping away, or doing the mouse trick, if you're old school and cool, like my dear co-caster, as they are just going to be playing this one carefully. I think Ulanska Fantazja have kind of found out that Evil Panda Squad are well aware of their plans. They don't want to just go running headfirst into this. You don't want to lose 2 maps quickly back to back, because you can win it in 3 even if you have to play out all 5. So Evil Panda Squad just holding the line. Don't need to push, don't need to be aggressive. They've got it all covered off. And what do you think really needs to happen for Ulanska Fantazja to really break this stalemate now?
I think they need to wait until Evil Panda Squad makes the next move, especially with Ikarium sitting in the middle in his T32. He's completely away from the whole of Evil Panda Squad, and you might actually get punished by this 5100 coming off the hill from Evil Panda Squad. So they need to make the next move. They maybe even need to sacrifice another T1 to try and get some more information as Ikarium tries to connect a shell onto Sony. And remember, this is Ikarium. He's a guy who has played the T32 for so long, but does get punished. He's down to 1195 from a good shot, although perhaps a little bit of a low damage roll from Lucas EST, trying to punish him again. The only real weakness on this T32's turret is this commander's copula, which can be penetrated, but it's extremely hard shot from the eye street.
Yeah, and I want to point out where Numolcho went to. You can see it on the minimap. He's in such a great position. He will be going head-to-head with that T32 in just a moment. And, well, he's actually not going to land that first shell. Numolcho needs to get back into this. He's missed it. This is unbelievable. Normally, this is the star player finally getting up into gear. But there comes the kind of calibrated Ulanska Fantazja getting to that defensive position as this 1v1 is going in favor to Numolcho, who spanked Ikarium out of that T32. And now he's still in such a great position, but he needs to get out of there. Balavi is coming around. He's pincered in between 2 tanks on either side. He's not getting out of this alive. Surely not. Rammed into place. He's being held there by Raboli. And there we go. Damage dealing blow will come in from Mace, as now Evil Panda Squad can readjust and reposition. But hopefully they don't kind of forget their focus here.
As the question is it better to lose a 5100 or a T32? In my opinion, it's better to lose a T32 because it's not going to be as good when it comes to the firefights. It can't quite do the damage. It's just there to take damage. Eclipse in the middle with his IS-3. We've got the other couple of Evil Panda Squads sitting around there trying to do some damage. A couple of shells being exchanged. Riabu Appeal did take one from earlier, but I would say at this point, both teams quite happy to reset the fight. Both have lost a T1. Both have lost a tier 8. It's up to you what you think, but Balavi is going to try and get some shots on Zenef and Eclipse.
Yeah, and that's gone really poorly for him. He's down to 653. Ace and Lucasti looking to make their way around the corner here through the banana line. There's nothing stopping them. They can now get further fire through. Even though Rap did take down a T1, it's minimal because here comes the rest of Evil Panda Squad. They are not stopping right here. Lucasti pushing forward, as is Eclipse. Mace is sitting pretty, but I can imagine if he makes a bit of a move now, he won't be. Lucasti will be focusing him down. 1-1-1-5 left towards him. He's now got 3 players around him, and you can see that IS-3 is in trouble. Eclipse is just ignoring him. He's pushed straight towards Balavi. He's down and out. The cap is underway, however. So if Evil Panda Squad have a time limit to this, Mace is now surrounded. Lucasti and Eclipse holding him in place. Wait for that reload to come back up and be available, and there you go. He's got spit roasted between those two. Cesar could not get a little bit of a fire from his turret through, as now he's being hunted down with 1 minute and 14 left to make this happen. It seems as though he's being hunted by a pack of wolves here. First shell connects. There's the second. It's a matter of time. Zenef is already heading around to cut him off here down the banana road. And here we go. It's a shooting squad against him. 410 HP. He is not getting out of here alive. And 100 HP is not enough to deal with the Evil Panda Squad side. As now only Rab really stands, and he's nowhere to be found. He's going to be hunted out by the remaining players pushed up down that banana line, as the rest will split back just in case they have something to do with that. They can, but look at that. Rab immediately down to 100 HP. He is just being decimated by the boys of Evil Panda Squad. Under 100. He's going down in one more shot that's just been reloaded. And now just one tier 1 to find. With 30 seconds left, Zenef has all the time in the world to take down Crazy Ketchup and give another map to Evil Panda Squad, and in some style as well. Himmelsdorf was certainly theirs from the start, and Evil Panda Squad deserved that victory. So 2 maps back to back now. fair, credit to Ulanska Fantazja. They put up more of a fight there than they did on the initial map of Ruinberg, but still, that was just incredible play through that middle section, through Banana, the way they just really cut off Ulanska Fantazja and dealt with them one by one.
Exactly. It's what Joe told us at the beginning. You need to find that one tank which is out of position and focus him down. That first tank was Maj, and his IS-3 was 3 against 1, I think. And honestly, I have no idea what Ulanska Fantazja were doing. They just, it's like a goat on just sacrifice him. It's like a sacrificial thing. I'm not sure what they were doing.
In.
Yeah, exactly. Just there you are. Have him. We don't want any trouble.
We'll back away.
Yeah, it was honestly really strange. They didn't give him any any backup, and Belavi was okay, he was on 441 in his MX-5100 because he got punished, but they could have got themselves back into that game if they managed to defend Maj and managed to do that MX-5100 to do that damage. But I honestly think the T-32 wasn't a good pick for them. I think if they had another 5100, they would have been able to really deal with that push from Evil Panda squad. And I think the T-32 has its place, but you can't leave it alone. You have to have it supported because it's only really good from the front. Everywhere else, it kind of sucks. But Evil Panda squad played it well. They played it perfectly in many respects. Apart from the fact that Numotico got caught out on his own, I think if Evil Panda squad had been a little bit closer to him, gave him some support, they would have at least been able to do as much damage as they could before Numotico went down, while the whole of Ulanska Fantazja was trying to beat him to death. So a couple of mistakes from both teams, but Ulanska Fantazja definitely made the more prevalent ones. Yeah,
it became very apparent. Evil Panda squad did not allow them even a footstep back into that game there as well. It was actually, as soon as they started their execution, there was no chance of a turnaround. There was that T1 splitting off. Immediately, a tank went back to deal with it, and the rest just focused down the remainders. And it was so easy the way they did it. Now, the next map will be Steps, so completely different to what we've seen so far. Ruinberg, bit of a hybrid. Himmelsdorf, architectural, just kind of complete city map that, you don't really get replicated anywhere else, but Steps is so different. What do you think we're going to see? Is it going to be a 4-1-6? Is it going to be a Pershing? Or are we going to see fairly normal picks here?
Well, Ulanska Fantazja has surprised us every game so far, taking the T-32 and the IS-3 on Ruinberg and Himmelsdorf. So they definitely, or perhaps will surprise us here, but it's going to be a Pershing or 4-1-6, and I honestly don't think the Pershing is much of a surprise anymore. But it started off with Evil Panda squad taking 2 T1s, Ulanska Fantazja taking a T1, and an AMX-3090. Evil Panda squad taking an AMX-3090 times 2. Ulanska Fantazja taking a T1 and an AMX-3090. Next pick from an Evil Panda squad was the T69, as well as that Pershing you were talking about.
I really like the Pershing being in play now. I absolutely love that tank. I think it's really found its role here.
It's definitely a mainstay in my opinion. It has everything going for it, very little going against it. I think the only thing it doesn't have is an autoload. If you did have an autoload, it'd be the most OP thing ever. It would be just ridiculous. But double T69 is the next pick for Ulanska Fantazja. And although a team that's done well in the past, it came 4th. I believe IEM Hanover. I think it was IEM Hanover. Or maybe IEM Katowice, I'm not sure, but it did well there at least. Actually, it came 3rd, so that's more impressive, definitely. Double T69 for Ulanska Fantazja, as I was talking about. So they look like they're going for something more standard. Evil Panda squad going for that double Pershing now, so they're going for 2 of those American tier 8 medium tanks even. So like an Oda Mortis lineup, I think it's not bad. I think they got to be a little bit more careful. And
where's the downfall of having 2 there, though? What tank are they going to be replacing that with?
With a T69, almost certainly. The downfall of having a Pershing instead of T69 is the T69 can do 1,000 damage or 960, 240 average damage in like, let's say 7 seconds or something.
Yeah.
6 seconds. Well, 8 seconds actually. But a Pershing can only do as much damage as it can, 240 in the 6.5 seconds it has a reload. So it doesn't have an autoloader, so it can't do that burst. That is the main downfall. Last pick from Ulanska Fantazja is the 4-1-6, the tank, which seems to be creeping its way into the lineups, especially on Steps and Prokhorovka, like we saw Spell used in the previous matchup.
Yeah, so I can't wait to see if this one can be used as well as we saw it previously. I really liked its work coming in last time we were watching Steps, so we'll have to wait to see if that can be really dealt with like it was previously, now in the hands of Icarium. So different user, same tank, but we know how different it can be dependent on who's using it. But bearing in mind, 2 maps now, back-to-back to Evil Panda squad, will this be another clean slate victory? This is a huge deal to these guys. They got so close to taking down Virtus Pro, but this time to be dismantled by Evil Panda squad would be a bit of a step in the wrong direction. Hopefully, this will be their map. hopefully they'll be able to turn it around here and really put those tanks to good uses, because they deserve really getting up that kind of ranking system and back into this league, because they're struggling right now. So guys, let's get ourselves ready for Steps, which will be coming up in just a moment.
Steps is the other open map in the map pool, being 1000 by 1000, having no urban areas. There are 3 primary routes of attack: the trench, the rocky area to the left, and the middle road. The road offers direct routes to the enemy's base, but despite having a staggering amount of cover along the way, you are vulnerable to attack from all sides. The trench area provides for great engagements, as it's only a few hills and rocks to cover the teams. Most of the engagements occur around this rock, the winner of which gains a crucial foothold on the map. The rocky left area provides the most cover for attacking and defending teams. It's essential that you pick tanks that can traverse from one side of the map to the other rapidly. They also must be able to get to the various key locations as quickly as possible. That is the key to victory.
So, welcome to Steps, and as you heard there, Joe is telling you the keys to victory, but let's see if either of these teams do have them, because right now, Ulanska Fantazja have their backs to the wall, so they will be starting in the south in blue, and in the north, Evil Panda Squad with 2 maps behind them. What are we seeing so far?
Well, the Ulanska Fantazja, it's all about unlocking that potential, and I think they're going for a very strong push straight up the middle with the MX-3090. They got Maj there behind, Rabbi Appeal in hot pursuit. Ikarim, Crazy Netphone not going for the same thing. They're going to be heading over to that rock side. And for Evil Panda Squad, the completely standard thing from the north, that is playing out the trench with all their tanks leaving 1T1 back in the base to get the spots out. But it looks like Ulanska Fantazja are going to be straight on the retreat, at least trying to get back to their base. Probably head over toward Crazy Netvo, and Ikarim are going with the MX-3090 and the Object 416, and just go up for a different flank.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see what they do. At least they're being kind of mobile in this. They're not just being campy. They're not playing it passively. They're testing the waters here. Every single angle they can find, Ulanska Fantazja is working it. Whereas Evil Panda Squad playing it normally, as you mentioned. Just using those T69s, that T32, just playing it next to each other as those 1390s splitting off. Almost being like the slightly lighter scouts, almost just to lead the way to make sure it's all clear, but still have that real bite to their bark. And let's find out if they actually do come into contact with the opposition. There's still be some time until they might get a spot out here, but I can imagine those blind shots will be put down pretty damn soon.
It's all about those blind shots and steps, trying to take out a couple of T1s or at least one at the beginning, and that'll give you the edge, because it won't be able to spot the base, it won't be able to get that information, which is the most important thing. Is that Ikarim does actually get spotted out. That's probably from the T1, so he's got to try and be careful, because immediately Evil Panda Squad know where Ulanska Fantazja are. They're playing a very similar strategy as we saw on the previous matchup. Balavi and Crazy Netvo, Kazani Netvo pushing forward in their MX-3090. They've got to be careful though, because if an MX-3090 or T69 creeps up over here, they will have easy shots onto them. But they're pushing forwards regardless, quite happy to do that. And I think, honestly, they're going to try and come from behind of Evil Panda Squad. It's not a tactic we've seen a lot of, but it's a tactic that works.
And I want to say it may be working, but look at WoT Show. He's already reading the situation. He's already getting ready to take on Balavi and Cesar, who are just waiting, as you mentioned, behind. The T1 will fall, so they've lost that vision. And WoT Show has to be careful, though. He has got 2 players fairly near to him, and he's well aware of it. I'm not sure if they are. I don't think he's been spotted out yet, but he's going to wait for backup. The 1390s are splitting off towards the other side of the map, possibly to apply pressure to the cap point. But right now, they need that defensive team to really hold this point.
If Evil Panda Squad do end up going for the cap, it's going to be a very hard and a very tall order, because Steps is such an open map. It's easy to snipe across the whole map and stop that cap. And they've obviously got 1T1 still in there. You've got to remember that. Ulanska Fantazja still have, I believe it's Crazy Catch up there. Oh no, it's Slim, the greatest thing up in those mountains, ready to deal with anything. But then again, Evil Panda Squad probably know that, as it is a common position. But Rabio PL deciding to not risk that, pushing back, making sure that nothing's going to come in the cap. They are expecting it, is the logical move from Evil Panda Squad side. But you can kind of see and get an idea. We've got Evil Panda Squad over towards the right in the trench. We've got Ulanska Fantazja probing towards the left on the rocky mountain side. So both teams quite happy to play the map as it usually is played. Very polarized, right to left, as in the same as Prokhorovka, but more on Prokhorovka you've got the north side and the south side.
Yeah, and I really want to see how this situation's going to unfold, because these guys are so close to each other now. Zenith up in those mountains near Sony, they have probably been spotted out right now, so they've got to be a little bit careful. They don't want to give it away, but look at that straight away. WoT Show did not even see him, just takes him down in that T1, so already taking away some of the vision of the opposition.
Great little shot there from WoT Show, really showing how good he is. What a movie he is. But Rabiopel's going to try and sneak around in his T69, try and get some spots out. And you've got to remember that crazy Kazani Netvo is still up there. He's got about a 425-meter view range, I do believe, with all the perks, etc., etc. And the MX-3090, he might even have a coated optics, which will give him that 10% extra viewing range either way. But the camo skills on these tanks are fully upgraded, all 100%, and camo acts as a kind of negatory to the the view range. You know, if you have 100% camo, you're going to minus a certain amount of the base view range the other tank will have. So that's how it works, at least the camo mechanics in this game. Ikarian pushing forward in his 416, going to the position he was at the beginning of the game. But again, you know, these two teams, they haven't really got that much information. They haven't really found anything that says, okay, then we can go in there, we can do that, and we can push forward and potentially go for the win. But again, I think the team that takes the initiative on this map is going to end up winning it.
Well, we'll have to find out. As there is 5 minutes left here, so there's not all the time in the world. They've got to make their move at some point, and, well, Evil Panda Squad seem fairly secure right here. They don't really want to be moving much. You can see it. They're literally patrolling up and down that kind of trench side and just happy to keep tabs on it and just wait for, hopefully, Ulanska Fantazja to make a move. But then again, Ulanska Fantazja have got match point against them pretty much here. Evil Panda Squad have 2 maps back-to-back, so the gentlemanly thing to do would be for have Evil Panda Squad make the move. And right now we're seeing Zenef at least edging closer. He's getting a good position, a little bit closer to the opponent's flag. Got to be careful because that T1 is still not too far away, and I think Sony's been spotted out, so he's going to back off a touch. Or just wait out and challenge when he can find it. But I'm waiting to see what's going to come out from the Ulanska side here.
Well, first of all, Sony and Slim the Greatest need to try and deal with each other, one or another, and try and get the better. Because if Slim the Greatest does go down, and if Sony goes down, it means the other team won't have a T1 anymore. They'll be completely T1'd out. Although on steps, not a massive factor because, you know, you don't see the T1 doing that much. At MX-3090 is a far better spotter because it's at view range. But it still makes a difference. It can put the pressure on the cap. It can still get that information. Kazani, Netvo, Belavi, though, pushing forwards in the MX-3090s. Once again, probing, hoping to find new multi-show there, or maybe just waiting for their team to mobilize. I think they are, actually. They're waiting for Ikarium, Riavio, and Maj to push into the middle, get into the right positions before they just do the pincer, before they use what the MX-3090 is good at doing, you know, just going in crazy fast before the other team knows what's hit them. They've already done their potential 1,440 damage.
Yeah, well, with 3 minutes and 20 seconds left on that board, they're going to have to make their move on fast, as New Multishow is still trying to lay down that fire towards that T1. He could be caught off guard here, because now he's got a sudden rude awakening that that cap is underway, pushing forward, spots Mace, but Belavi, as you mentioned, in those 3090s, rearing their head, coming over the defilade. He's going to have to be careful here. He's got multiple opponents focusing him down. If he puts his foot in the wrong position, he will be in trouble. Another shot will land, however. Mace and Rabio both dealing, or at least receiving, the damage there. Belavi not able to make his way as far forward as I can imagine he'd want, being almost negated by the terrain right now. And at the moment, New Multishow looking like he's dealing with these guys, sent them packing. Ikarium barely able to get back into this. And look at that, New Multishow just dodging the bullets there. He's not going to allow a single bit of damage to be dealt towards him unless he can get one back. And that has sent Ulanska looking for another way through.
Perfect play from the Pershing. New Multishow using that mantlet, using that turret armor just to soak anything the heat ammo from the T69 can do.
Oh, but look at this. Ace is not happy with that. He's going to go in for the kills. He's moving in. He's getting aggressive. There's 3 tanks in front of him. He's got to be fairly careful here because the rest of his side are laying down the fire. He knows they're only beyond that one hill in front of him. If he can get that perfect position, he could really do some trouble here. Zenef moving in as well. They're all pincering around him. Ikarium is being focused down. 708 on him. Rabio trying to help him out, but look at Ace. Straight away there. Deals a good chunk of damage. Down to 805 now. Backs off. New Multishow picks up it. Gets straight into that battle. T32 comes over the hill, does some good work there. 305, make it 44. Rabio is 1 shot away from being taken down. Oh, but New Multishow goes in a little bit too far. He's received 4 shells back to back, needs to back away here. He's got to carry him, facing him down that 416. Ace trying to cover him off, lovely positioning. Ace will claim the frag. Lucasti onto Mace, and I've got to give it to Evil Panda Squad here. These guys only lost their T1 so far. Every single member perfectly in place. Belavi is being decimated by every single member. Lucasti will claim it, and I can't believe how good Evil Panda Squad just made that look, as only 1 tank really stands now.
just flanking it onto Gazani Netvo now after some good little shots from them. That was a nice little play. I think Gazani Netvo, though, disconnected from the game. So although Evil Panda Squad move was very good, I mean, perfectly executed, coming from every side, hitting every angle, doing all the damage they need to do, although New Show getting a little bit aggressive as per usual. It would have been very hard for Ulanska Fantazja to win that game anyway, because they ended up losing the MX-3090 from a disconnect. So unfortunate for that team, but that's what happens in these online games. We are over the internet. We are susceptible to its virtues and its I don't know, decrees. Virtues. I don't know what's the opposite to virtues.
You're making some words up today that are
virtues
wonderful.
is a word, but I don't know what the opposite is.
I don't know. Guys in chat, help him out.
Dictionary.
Make sure you tweet him at laughter WOT and get him informed, because even I don't know that one, to be fair, so help me out. My ignorance shining through. But Steps M was truly done and dusted by Evil Panda Squad. They've claimed 3 maps now. That is the game in the bag for them. But as we mentioned before, and as we mention every time, it's a 5. Basically, you have to play all 5 maps. Simple as that. No matter what the outcome is, if you win in the first 3, it does not matter, because the end of the season, when it gets really close, if you have to be you know, it's if the decisions come right down to the wire, basically, and you work out the map differences between certain teams if there's a decider that can't be decided. And it can really come down to that at times. Trust me, guys, we've had ridiculous endings before to this. So hopefully these guys will be ready nice and quickly. I know one of them did have the disconnect, so hopefully that'll be resolved very, very soon, and we can get back underway, because the next map will be Ensk. Now, for pride's sake alone, Ulanska Fantazja need to get something going here, because they seem to be always just kind of pipped to the post when it comes to these guys. And
especially against Evil Panda Squad, you were saying, you know, the rounds do come in at the end of the season, and if Evil Panda Squad do what they did in Season 2 and hit that 6th spot mark right on the head, then Ulanska Fantazja could be challenging that, and it's going to come down to the mini league, depending on how many maps you've won against other teams, how many maps you've won against the team you're directly competing for 6th place and above. So that's really important to keep in mind. But on Ensk, I honestly, Himmelsdorf was a close one, although I think Ulanska Fantazja got a little bit unlucky in many respects. Just some dysfunctional play, a bit of a jagged edge in terms of many of their moves. But on Ensk, they have a little bit more of a chance. It's not quite as unforgiving as Ruinberg. It's not quite as structured as Himmelsdorf. It's somewhere in between. You've got more options. It's a very hard map to play, but you just need to nail down the basics. That's what's fantastic about it.
Well, I think they are ready for those tank picks. They have started them, so let's not waste any time if they do want to get this one started. Now, I'm in 2 minds about Ensk sometimes. It's a little bit of a back and forth one. You know what I mean? It's like, if you do go for that city push, do you not? Do you focus on the railroad? And I love the different variations, especially when you look towards the likes of mouse sports. What sort of tactics do you think will be coming out this time around?
Well, we're seeing teams start to head towards that green zone, or at least the tracks a little bit more, which I wouldn't have expected, just because if you're a city that works well in a firefight in a city, just go for the city. Don't go for just the track side, which sometimes you just get focused down by a 5100 that's there or happens to be there in the right position, catches you on rotate, and what can you do? You can reverse 300 meters up the wrong way. You're going to get obliterated in that position. But T1 IS3 for Ulanska Fantazja, double T1 for Evil Panda Squad, and then another T1 IS3 for Ulanska Fantazja before Evil Panda Squad took the double IS3. So both teams going for the double T1, double IS3. It is Ensk, it is a city map. So that's what to expect.
Do you think we'll see a T69 in the mix here?
We saw Odomortis take a T69. It doesn't work that well. I mean, like we saw in Mines against Kazakhstan and Spale, that the T69s were bouncing the superstructure of the other T69s. I mean, okay, they were shooting the upper hull, but you're bouncing a T69 with a T69. So you're going to stand no chance against an IS3, which has more armor and has a better slope on it. It's concave as opposed to just being flat. So I honestly don't think we'll see it. I think we'll just see the team pick the extra MX-5100 or the extra IS3. Double AX-5100 for Ulanska Fantazja to supplement those 2 IS3s they've already taken, and that goes for Evil Panda Squad as well. Ulanska Fantazja going for the 3rd AMX-5100, while Evil Panda Squad have gone for the 3rd IS3. So for Ulanska Fantazja, you've got the triple AMX-5100, the double IS3, the double T1, while Evil Panda Squad have the triple IS3, double AMX-5100, double T1.
So if we look back to Himmelsdorf, for example, which is the only really comparable map to what we're seeing here, maybe Ruinberg, if you really want to stretch the limits. Do you think this is going to be another easy one for Evil Panda Squad? Do you think maybe Ulanska Fantazja can go back to the days where they had a close game against Virtus Pro and kind of bring something out here?
I'm really hoping so. They haven't shown themselves as the team they are this match, and I think they'll be really just eager to show the people at home, you know, you guys and us, that they are a fantastic team, and they are a fantastic team, full stop. And, you know, they're 3-0 down. They've lost the series, but they can certainly just keep some pride alive and a bit of momentum going into the next match day if they do take it on Ensk in the next map. So, yeah, I think we'll see some better play from Ulanska Fantazja this time around. I think it's a stronger map for them. As I said before, it's got, you know, the good parts of every single map kind of all joined in one. Certainly one of my favorites as well. Yeah. So I think we're going to see a much closer map for them at least.
No, I really want to see what they bring out here, because we're seeing so many individual tactics really being evolved, especially on Ensk, looking at mouse spots, I can't help it, or maybe even if you go over to like the likes of Na'Vi, really kind of fundamentally defining this map when it began. But I don't know, I want to see a strong Evil Panda squad here. I never feel like this is one of their really strongest maps either. I feel they do well on it, don't get me wrong, but I never feel as though that really clinical team here. It's not like the crazy Himmelsdorf strats, my words are not working, could ever work on this map, really. So I'm just kind of looking to see if maybe Ulanska... I really can't say their names. Do you know that, right?
Ulanska Fantazja.
Do you know what? Their names need to be changed, all I'm saying. I'm just going to put it out there right now. I'm going to call them Bob, Dave, Bill... and Ted, maybe. That's all they're going to be called for the rest of this game. But back on topic, I'm really not sure what to expect on this one. Hopefully, Ulanska Fantazja can do something here to turn the tide. But we'll find out here on Ensk.
Ensk is a simple map on the face of it, but requires the most skillful team play to play properly. Being such a small map at 600 by 600 meters, the areas of attack are confined to through the city, through the railroads, or through the green zone. The fearsome city side, often famed for its fierce firefights, the railroads and green zone areas are hard to play as they have many death alleys. The railroads provide little cover but good sniping locations. Tanks can shoot over and navigate through the trains to ambush and weaken the opposition. When playing Ensk, always keep in mind that teams may try and rush for the cap and not go for the city brawl. Also, take tanks that can both deal a lot of damage and react quickly to situations.
So, welcome to Ensk in the north, in the blue. It's Ulanska Fantazja, currently with 3 maps against them, but for pride's sake, let's hope they can turn this one around. An Evil Panda squad sitting rather pretty in the south in that golden yellow, looking to make this 4-0. What are we seeing so far?
So Ulanska Fantazja just doing what they're good at, pushing straight into the city and hoping for that city brawl. They've got the perfect setup for it. The triple 5100 double IS3, so much damage in that once they have that reload down and out. Evil Panda squad a little bit more tentative, but that's what we'd expect from the south of Ensk. A couple of tanks sitting in the cap, a couple of tanks sitting up behind to try and support the T1 that's gone forwards. Sony's done a good job there. He spotted 2 IS3s, so Evil Panda squad know for sure Ulanska Fantazja have at least 2 IS3s and probably more tanks sitting up behind in the city. So that gives them some options in terms of what they can do with their T1s, perhaps push them towards the base. And also, very importantly, that IS3, he's going to be going up the 5-6 line. You can see back down there, and he's going to be okay because he can get side shots on. And the 5100, it doesn't deal with side shots very well because it's got like 30 millimeters of armor. You're going to penetrate it from pretty much any angle, especially with that BL9.
And look at this move in from Evil Panda squad. Lucasti is just pushing straight up that 5 and 6 line. He immediately rotated. As soon as Sony basically saw those 2 tanks, he was like, okay, let's push straight up here. Let's play the defensive game, but let's get at least close enough that we will never leave one tank just out on a limb. They don't want to leave that one person to fall down with no reply. And that's what Evil Panda squad do so well at the moment. They always have that reply kill waiting to go.
Slim the Greatest does spot him out, though, so Lucas Yestin is now a little bit more trouble because the 5100s can get some good shots on him, but then he can just reverse behind and get himself out of trouble. But Ulanska Fantazja now on the rotate, going straight out the city. That's the 3 MX 5100s. You can see how fast they are across this concrete, almost hitting there, well, 45 to 40 kilometers an hour. Speed limit very, very fast. But they slow down dramatically over the softer ground, unlike, let's say, like an MX 3090 where the horsepower per ton ratio is far better. But Evil Panda squad don't know what Ulanska Fantazja are doing. They haven't moved from their previous positions. They're not exactly sure what's going on. They need to push up. They need to put out Sony quicker because Sony, he spotted the IS3s out from the 50-meter proxy route. Then he saw Maj reverse backwards. And as soon as Maj got out of view range, he should have just pushed forwards again.
Gotta say, Lucasti then just hit an absolute stunner of a shot. shot, catching Balavi on the rotate round from that 4 to 7 line there. So they've just found out exactly what's going on. Lucasti is the point man right now. He's the only one who can really land any shots until, as you mentioned, Evil Panda Squad move up into the city and hopefully get themselves to a position where they can actually support here and do some damage, because it's a bit of a rarity seeing these guys having to be the adventurous kind of aggressive ones, especially on a map like this. So what sort of work can Ulanska Fantazja do from such a defensive position?
I think the only thing they have really on the card and the options is just sitting back and waiting for Evil Panda Squad to go forwards. But Match just gets punished straight away. Evil Panda Squad going very fast into the city, not wasting a single second. Definitely not an indecisive team. Ace punishes Match again, down to 750. So he's going to be going forwards as well, trying to get the spots out in his T1. He's expendable, remember, only being a Tier 1 American tank. And I think, honestly, if Ikarium just pushes further forwards with his IS-3, he could end up getting focused down, and Lucas Yesti is going to spot him out. Zenith is going to maybe come around with his 5100, and Ikarium, I think he's going to be the first target for Evil Panda Squad. He just trying to land another shot onto Lucas EST. But I don't know. Odomois definitely played the similar tactics to Ulanska Fantazja, and they got punished horribly.
Yeah, indeed. And it's just how well Evil Panda Squad can execute this and stay as a collective rather than going in dribs and drabs and just walking into the crosshairs and iron sights, let's say, of Ulanska Fantazja. Numotio and Sony have made their way through towards Rabio and Mace there. Ace finally comes through down that more central reservation to provide at least some support, but it has split their side here. So at least a bit of a 2v2 going on in that section, but you spin over. Lucasti is now severely in trouble. Balavi, Cesar, and Ikarium all coming through. Zenef now in a 1v3. He's surrounded. The entirety of his team are nowhere to be found. He has got to back the hell away and hope to get out of this one alive and hope for those reload times to really work in his favor, but they're not. He finally sends a Ikarium back. He might be able to get some cover, but look at New Multishow smashing down the opponent, picking up 2. Eclipse focusing down Mace, and they should be able to at least win this one skirmish and hopefully get over towards that other one going on in the other section on this map.
Very good play from Evil Panda Squad, knowing exactly that they're on that back foot, pushing forwards, finding the weakness and finding some good shots and certainly some good kills of Ulanska Fantazja. And I think now we're going to see some sniping. Both teams want to reset the game a little bit. Both teams quite happy to sit backwards, but it's 4 Tier 8 tanks against 3. Evil Panda Squad sitting on the good side of that with their 4.
Yeah, but look at Zenef. Zenef could be going down here. He's actually got 3 tanks possible to land shells towards him. He's staring down Ikarium right now, but he's going to back away. He's keeping vision on them to allow the likes of New Multishow, Ace, and I believe it's Eclipse come around from the side, but they're not having an easy way through. He's going to have to play carefully here. Balavi going aggressive, chasing him down. He's got superior HP. Great shot comes in from Balavi, and they're turning this one around slowly but surely.
Very good shot from Balavi. He's just pushing around, but New Multishow is going to go on.
Yeah, New Multishow is not stopping right now. He's already picked up 3 kills, and wow, he's not stopping.
Certainly isn't stopping. New Multishow is going to take out Ikarium. Ikarium is completely down. It's only Crazy Netfo left. He's on 862, and he's just about finished reloading his 51, so he might be able to do some damage. Eclipse is going to go on first. Crazy Netfo's got the T1 from behind. He's on 407. It's only going to be a matter of time before he goes down. H pushing around the corner. Eclipse is going to be the final one to do the damage. Crazy Netfo gets a last shot out, but there we go. Eclipse finally taking down Crazy Netfo. Another genius game from Evil Panda Squad.
I think they just killed me on that one. I basically died off in the corner after watching New Multishow pick up a hat trick. I was like, okay, I'm just going to go and crumble on the floor for a bit, guys. I'm sorry. Evil Panda Squad picked up 4 maps back-to-back now. They're doing better against Ulanska Fantazja than Virtus Pro did. I don't know what that's saying for the rankings at the moment, but it's certainly looking good for those guys. Even if I'm dying in the meantime of it, it's going well. But credit where credit's due. Let's see who's been hitting those big shots. What a surprise. New Multishow on 2k damage. Absolutely ridiculous stuff. But Cesar as well, hitting the 2k as well. So they were exchanging, but those just kind of the minuscule skirmishes that were going down, it was just so much better dealt with by Evil Panda Squad then.
They won every engagement. That's the thing. I mean, okay, Ulanska Fantazja did a good job of trying to take the 5100 down and managing to do that, but Evil Panda Squad knew that exactly and just pushed forwards and did the kills of their own. So it was perfect reaction play, and that was really that map in the whole. It was just reaction play.
Yep.
Evil Panda Squad spotting with Lucas Yisti, the tanks on the rotate trying to get around to the green zone, and immediately when they were spotted, they pushed forwards in the city. And then once Ulanska Fantazja tried to turtle down, Evil Panda Squad were there, and they just got the shots on as they were driving along to try and turtle down. So it was absolutely perfect.
Yeah, so the 5th and final map will be Mines. Now, do you think this is Ulanska Fantazja's map? I really have lost faith in them now. I really have. Like, Ensk was fairly close. As you mentioned, the skirmishes were the defining points there. But you don't really get that on this. It's kind of an all-in, you know what I mean? Like, you can maybe focus down one individual skirmish that you might be able to win this time, but when the likes of New Multishow are playing like that, as you mentioned, he can either win you a game completely or just kind of crumble and cost you a map. But at the moment, he's looking on point, and if he plays, you know, a really damage-dealing tank on this, I feel Ulanska Fantazja have almost no chance here.
I feel the same way, to
In the
be honest.
nicest way. Like, I normally try and play, you know, there's always a chance, folks, but New Multishow, he's one of the most dangerous players when he gets like this. If he's on point, if he's picking up kills after kills, I think he got 3 on, like, steps. He's got 4 now on Ensk. Is he going to go for 5 on mines? It's like, is there, like, an increase that he has to hit? I'm just waiting to see what he can bring, and I've got to feel for Ulanska Fantazja, because they always seem to get close, but they never quite get to that final bit. Like, in Ensk, they were close then, but they really did not get anywhere near that finishing line by the end of it. It's like, as soon as they got close, they got ripped away by just the great focusing fire, the great kind of way they direct themselves in those minuscule team fights. And I just absolutely love that in Evil Panda squad. That's why they get to the 2nd position in offline finals. It may not be enough to take down the likes of WoT Pro, but it still gets you into 2nd place, which is highly respectable. So we are just waiting for these guys to get the tank picks underway. Do not fear, we're not holding them up. It's just them doing the same to us. I think they might have had one player crashing, so hopefully that will get fixed nice and quickly. As much as I do love waiting for 5th games on Mines. But yeah, why is Mines always the defining map here? Always 5th.
It's the choice between Abbey and Mines. That's what the teams have. They can go for Abbey, which is, in my opinion, so much harder to play than Mines. It's like the most complicated map.
Yeah.
It can go just really weird, and it's just impossible to play for some teams. And they feel a lot more comfortable in Mines. They're quite happy to push up that hill. They're quite happy to do split push and stuff. Where Abbey, you can end up driving for 5 minutes around the map trying to chase the other team, and you get into a weird game of cat and mouse with no team really winning, and it ends up being a draw. So if you draw it and you're at 2-2, then you're both going to get 1 point instead of one team getting 3 points.
Very, very true.
But going back to New Multishow, I believe he's the only player I've ever witnessed, and I think he's the only player ever in the whole of World of Tanks esports to get all 7 frags in a game. So he killed 100% of the other team, which is ridiculous when you think about it.
It is slightly ridiculous.
Like, we say, oh, this guy's got 3 frags. He got 7 frags. It's like mental.
That's like double and a bit. I'm sure maths is hard, but, you know, I'll just explain it really simply for you guys, because I know it's hard work for you. But the tank picks have started, so take us through it.
Thank you very much, Lauren. T1 AMX 3090, double T1 for Evil Panda Squad, double AMX 3090 for Evil Panda Squad as well, as Ulanska Fantazja pick a T1 and an AMX 3090. So just those fast French tanks, also those 2 T1s, the standard light tank tier 1 picks. If you're wondering why the teams pick the T1s, before anyone asks Melly a question and makes me answer the question for the billionth time, it's 42 points in the esports mode for World of Tanks, otherwise known as the T mode, just released in the test server, at least in 8.9. Basically, 42 points means that you can only take a certain amount of tier 8 tanks. You can't take all 7, so you can only take 5, meaning that goes to 40, 8 times 5. And those 2 last tier points are taken by the 2 tier 1s.
You just did that to prove you can do maths, didn't you?
I might have done, maybe subconsciously.
Look at you go.
I'm all right at maths. I'm okay.
I'm awful at it, to be fair.
I'm okay. I have a computer science degree, so I kind of have to be good at maths.
Congratulations. IT support awaits you.
I even went for the high 5, but she just blanked me on
cold
that
times. Take us through the tank picks. What we see?
T69 times 2, a T69 times 3 from the Evil Panda Squad as well. So just the T69s coming out.
IS3?
And the Pershing for Evil Panda Squad and Ulanska Fantazja picking the IS3 again, as they did on Ruinberg, which didn't go so well last time. Although Mouse Sports have picked this IS3 before on Mines, it's a questionable pick, because the gun depression, if you've ever played it on the IS3, is beyond diabolical. I mean, sometimes I wonder if it's an artillery, because it literally can't depress its gun at all. I mean, there's no reason why it shouldn't be. I think maybe clipping might happen a little bit when it starts to go down, but it should be able to depress its gun. It might just be for balance reasons from wargaming, as opposed to just real-life parameters.
Well, it's a curious choice for the final map here, which will define if it's going to be another clean 5-0 victory like we saw between Spale and Kazna not too long ago. This time, probably to the team we'd have expected. But really, bearing in mind the previous results of Ulanska Fantazja, I think this is more proving that Evil Panda Squad are getting really into their strength now. So I'm looking forward to what they can bring on this map, see how that Pershing really comes into effect. And I love watching on this map, especially with the T69 in play. So guys, let's get ready for Mines.
Mines, the original and best World of Tanks 7-on-7 map famed for its incredible tactical opportunities. A small map being 800 by 800 meters. The map has 3 primary routes of attack: the left flank through the water, the middle area, and the town side. The key position on this map is the middle area, as it provides great firing positions and areas of attack for the team that holds it. The middle area's primary entrance is the road passing through the middle of the map. It is essential that the teams take key areas around the hill, both of which are situated just below the hill, the north side and the south side. These locations can provide for some amusing tactics. The hill isn't the only means of attack on mines though. There's also a housing area towards the east side that has a fair few routes of attack and provides great cover for advancing tanks. The water area can be an option for teams, however the soft ground makes it very hard for tanks to traverse rapidly, but leads straight to the opponent's base.
So, welcome into the 5th and final map here between Ulanska Fantazja and Evil Panda Squad. So, in the north, in the blue, it's Ulanska Fantazja, and in the south, in the golden yellow, it's Evil Panda Squad. What are we seeing so far?
So Ulanska Fantazja doing the standard thing, pushing over towards that lighthouse island with a couple of AMX 1390s. But the really weird thing from them is they've put Rabio Pil straight in the middle, Maj behind the IS-3, and Icarium there in his T-69. I think they're just going to push straight over towards the island. They haven't been spotted, surprisingly, probably because that low view range of the T1, which will definitely be something that they can use to their advantage. And the Evil Panda Squad, although played it completely standard, they put a couple of AMX 1390s on the hill. They got the T-69s behind to defend any tanks that are pushing up on the hill, and obviously one T1 over towards the right just to make sure nothing is going to swarm over from there and try and come up from behind. But Ulanska Fantazja, they're doing something very strange. We've never seen this before. We see it in tier 10 battles and we see it in random battles, company battles, etc. But we never see it in 7-on-7. It might work.
We're going to find out right now. Icarium and Mace have just appeared on the radar of Aces there. He's going to back away. He's not going headfirst into that with an IS-3 just charging him down. But Evil Panda Squad immediately adapting, all of them rolling off the hill. Numocho falling back a touch. He's going to be playing in a more of a passive posture there to challenge us out in that T-32, see what he can do to the IS-3. And I want to see how Evil Panda Squad deal with this new threat.
I have no idea why Ulanska Fantazja didn't just push forwards and go for the shot against Ace, because if they had anything, it was the elements of surprise, and they don't have anything now. They don't have the position. Evil Panda Squad have the higher ground. They can get shots on, like as Lucas EST is about to do, if he can get the gun depression, which he doesn't quite have, and he doesn't want to shoot the back of the IS-3. It's turret because he can bounce easily, and that will take him one shell down. But it's a very strange tactic. I got to say it again. Rabio Pil completely off on a limb back here, a couple of AMX 1390s here, and the rest of the tank's just there. And honestly, this might just, you know, throw the spanner in the works for Evil Panda Squad. And at the end of the day, that's all you need.
Yeah, and the thing is, Numocho is looking for that area to provide the best gun depression to challenge right now and not be head-to-head. He did find a lovely little ledge over there by the spawn point. Not quite good enough, but he's still looking. Sky Spirit keeping his kind of vision clear there, making sure no one's going on the flank, allowing him just to find the right angle. Ace holding that push, and Evil Panda Squad are just waiting now for Numocho to get in that correct position to be able to challenge this one out. He has, however, been spotted, so at least he'll kind of have a little bit of a time to get himself in here. Icarium will get the first shell. He's down to 109 now, but Mace will have to back off as well because Ace is getting into this one.
Ace is going to try and sneak his way in as soon as the IS-3 has its turret's turn. It's a very slow turning turret. He'll be able to get the shots on, but he's playing that T-69, so he'll always struggle. Numocho making another brilliant shot, taking Maj down to 1-2-1-5, but that's mitigated immediately by a good shot from Icarium, hitting Ace down to 1-0-8-9. But look, Numocho is going to be in the background. He won't be able to support his tanks pushing forwards because Eclipse, Xenef, and Lucas EST are pushing on.
Yeah, all of them are now pushing in. Xenef is going right onto the hunt after Rabio, who's going to back away in that T-69. He might be on reload. He's not anymore. I think he's just coming available. He's got at least one shell connecting. I believe Eclipse... No, he wasn't held in place. Eclipse now comes around, provides some help. He's been tracked. These guys are not getting the damage done, but Lavi, everyone else coming with that covering fire, sending Evil Panda Squad back here. And Rabio survives it on complete HP advantage. He's just trying to save himself and get away from the situation right now. Xenef and Eclipse have to be careful. That T-69 could really do them some damage.
It can do a lot of damage, 1,000 in total. And Balavi did a lot of damage there as well. He took Eclipse down to 337 and only received about 500 damage. So a very good play from him, especially considering the MX-3090 isn't a particularly good sniper with the aim down time. Eclipse is going to get punished though.
Yeah, he's just about got away there. Carium landed a lovely little shell on the way out, but now you can see Evil Panda Squad backing off behind their bigger brother here almost. New Multishow is that big boy in that huge tank with a little bit more HP than most left alive at the moment, so he's going to be the one tanking it up for them, trying to play it smart. And Evil Panda Squad actually have lost a lot of the map control here.
They've lost almost all the advantage they had at the beginning. I mean, Ulanska Fantazja can push on the hill. They've got Mash down the bottom. He can push around into Ace. He's obviously got a lot more armor and a lot more firepower, and Ace is going to struggle with that T178 348 ammo against the IS-3. But he's going to try anyway. Mash is going to be there to deal with it. He's got the 390 average damage, so about 3 shots, Ace will find himself completely dead and out of the game. But Icarium and Rabbi Appeal, they look like they want to kind of push forwards in the T69. Indeed, they are. Try and find out Lucas Isti. They obviously have the hold down position, but New Multishow, as per usual, he's there to always deal with the threats.
Yeah, indeed. They're going to have to go towards Zenef right now because New Multishow is looking like he wants to push this one. He's going to get into a better position here, try and get some more damage down, at least take out some of the opposition. But look at this, he's pushed too far. He's now got himself into the eyes of Balavi. He's got to back away. He can't help out his teammates. He's in trouble. He's trying to shoot on the way through. It's not going to help him out. Zenef goes down to 82 HP. And my word, this actually might be paying off for Ulanska Fantazja.
Ace is now reloading though. That will allow Mash to push around. 460 he's got left, but he's got Lucas Isti in the background. But Kazani Netfo finally get into the game. Mash having to reverse as Eclipse is going to take him out.
Yeah, Eclipse came in big with that 1390 play there, kind of alleviating the pressure from those T69s who are just so hardly battling out. They could not break past that IS-3 there. But I want to keep eyes on Zenef. As much as the flag is being capped, that'll be easily dealt with by one of the tier 1s. Rabio and Icarium really are locking Zenef out of this game right now, and the battle's still going on between these guys. Lucasti finally comes around, and that gun depression comes perfectly into play with that T69, taking down the 1390. But now he's got Icarium, he's got Rabio to worry about. Backs off the cliff. Zenef now needs to get back into this and somehow provide some cover, do something, even though he's so desperately damaged, and that cap is still underway.
Yeah, there's no T1s to deal with the cap at all, so it's all down to winning the firefight, getting back to the cap, stopping that. 1 minute left there. Zenef is going to have to jump off the cliff, but Crazy catch-up in the T1 might actually take him down. Icarium and Rabbi Appeal are going to fold on to Zenef if they can. They're going to block anything coming across. Balavi as well doing the damage. He's going to try and find Lucas Isti. He will do so, and Balavi finds Icarium finds Eclipse in his MX-3090. It's looking Ulanska Fantazja to take the 5th round.
And they went for some crazy tactics here, and it's actually paid off. This is unbelievable. In the final map of all things, we are just seeing these guys going all the way, and, well, Evil Panda Squad could not keep the clean slate like we saw Spale do earlier on, and there goes the last damage-dealing tank, leaving only Sky Spirit alive on 2 HP. And as much as I'd love him to do this, I don't quite see it happening with the likes of Icarium, Rabio, and Balavi upstanding. And I've got to say, Balavi was doing so well from that island. Every time a player got into a position that could threaten the rest of Ulanska Fantazja, his fire came in straight away. There was no escaping it. Sky Spirit's kind of knowing what he's going into, which is pretty much a firing squad right now. So at least they did well to kind of try and deal with it, but it's certainly be something we might see coming into play because Ulanska Fantazja just picked up the last map. So, bit of a rarity there. 4-1. Not sure where I want to kind of go on this because, as you said, a little bit of a strange strategy. You see it in random battles. You see it in certainly, you know, not normally the esports mode that we're used to. But what made that work then?
It was just amazing. It literally was incredible. We thought, okay, if Match is going to push around on the IS-3, take them by surprise, we thought that would be a good idea. It turns out not to be because of the amount of damage Evil Panda Squad would have done with the T69s. What they had, which we never really took into account, was Balavi in his MX-3090 doing 2,184 damage.
Ridiculous.
Which is amazing considering the low HP pools of the Evil Panda Squad. You know, the T69 only has 1,350, the MX-39 only has 1,100, and obviously the T1's 115. So incredible damage. You do 2.5 tanks pretty much, and it was just that. It was exactly him. He was there to deal with anything Evil Panda Squad threw forwards. If they went forwards to try and engage the T69s coming up the hill, he got the side shots on.
As New Multishow found out.
Yeah, and as soon as Evil Panda Squad to try and take care of the IS-3, he was there to deal the damage, and he took out Lucas Yisti in his T69. So altogether, just having all those, all those bases covered, having all the firing lines they needed, just to deal with everything Evil Panda Squad had. And surprisingly, we always say having the high ground in World of Tanks is the most important thing, and it is. And having that hill as well, Evil Panda Squad had absolutely everything going for them, but they played into the Ulanska Fantazja's side perfectly, exactly into their strategy. They didn't try anything. They didn't try and go for the cap with the T1s or come around from the city, come up behind and really do that damage with the MX-3090s and the T69s and just leave the T1 in the base to stop the cap.
Yeah. Well, we've had a great play day so far. Let's bear that in mind. But before we close up the show, I want to know how many of you at home predicted a 4-1, because that kind of screws up every bit of prep we had here. Because it was like, well, actually, that could be a close game here because, Virtus Pro, bearing in mind, they almost drew. Virtus Pro would beat Evil Panda Squad. So maybe this is going to be like a kind of 2-all and then maybe a deciding one. But 4-1? I would never have called it that way. I don't think you would have either, even in your fantastic predictions that you do have sometimes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
But yeah, 4-1 in favour to Evil Panda Squad. I can imagine you guys went for that, but still, that scoreline. Melly, how many people at home actually went for that one? Because I certainly wouldn't have.
Well, actually, during the game, I thought it's going to be a second 5-0. But the community at home was 100% right in our vote, because they voted for like 85% for Evil Panda Squad. So congratulations for that at first. And regarding the score, we had a couple submissions in the challenge that were actually right. So
wow,
good work, good work. But seeing those two games and comparing them to games we saw in the earlier season, for example, they're definitely faster paced than back then.
For sure.
Is that a development of the competitive play of World of Tanks? Or, I don't know, what's happening there? Because those teams aren't really teams that get steamrolled that fast. Because, for example, Ulanska Fantazja close to taking down Virtus Pro. I wouldn't call them as a team that got beaten close to 5-0, 4-1.
It is really hard to call. We see a lot of the teams going really close to a lot of the bigger sides, because the thing that I always go back to is in any title, everyone prepares and everyone understands the very top teams. So everyone will always anti-strat Virtus Pro, Na'Vi, and Dignitas. Whether or not it works is a completely different thing. But everyone knows those strategies because they're generally the trendsetters. So if they try something new, if they play something a certain way, they'll go, oh, actually, let's pick that up. Let's try and adapt that. So even the lower teams generally learn a lot of the higher tier teams' kind of ways they play. And they certainly can challenge, but normally that kind of skill comes into play eventually. That kind of individual talent suddenly shines, and it's like, well, that's why we're at the top. That's why you're down the bottom a little bit. That's a disparity. And I think that's why we're seeing a lot of these bigger teams sometimes getting really close game with teams that necessarily on paper shouldn't have it. But when Evil Panda Squad, a team that you wouldn't necessarily anti-strat, comes into effect, they have a little bit of a stomp because the likes of Ulanska and Fantazja have never seen really up close maybe those strategies or gone, okay, let's use that for ourselves. So I think that might be where we're seeing some teams being really close and some not being so close.
Thank you very much. And of course, we have questions from our lovely Twitter community. And TJ wants to know if it's now maybe time to retire mines from for a new map, because we're seeing the same tactics over and over again.
Did he just see the game?
Yeah, it's a bit.
Tell him to watch the replay.
I think he's talking in general because the question is a bit old, like an hour. That's old in the fast-paced internet. But Mainz is definitely the perfect esports map. But he has a point. And he suggests to replace it with Tundra, for example.
I'm going to take the point of replacing maps that you think have repetitive strategies. The fact is, if it's a repetitive strategy, it means that most people have got to that level of performance. So you get to really see the skill coming into effect. It's like, okay, let's go to other titles. Dust 2. Everyone knows how to play it, but you see certain teams always winning it. It's because they're that little bit better. That 10% can mean so much. And even if you may see, say, the strategies are the same, you see one player going absolutely huge. You look at Balavi then. He just defined a new way of playing that map. If one player breaks the meta on like maybe a similar map that you've seen millions of times before, you can make it so important. That becomes such a new way of playing it. You only need to look at Himmelsdorf. That's a fairly static map. You can go, well, we know the tank picks. We know what they're going going for. Why is this exciting? Because if one player does something new that works, that pays off, everyone goes, oh my God, this is incredible. You've broken the meta of this map. And when it happens, it's great, but it's risky. Because Mines, as you mentioned, can be that last and final map, which can be the decider. You don't want to go for some off-the-wall strategy that might cost you the win here. Because if you play for the draw, maybe, fair enough, because then you finish 2-2. If you go for some ridiculous strat that you think might work, but it doesn't, you've kind of screwed the entirety of the work you've just put in. So it's a hard map to make something new happen on, or something brave happen on, because normally it's the deciding one in my eyes. But what about the introduction of the other map that he mentioned? Because I'm not too aware of it. What's your thoughts to that? Is it really viable?
Tundra is a very small map. It's tiny, in fact. I think it's about 600 by 600, or maybe even 800 by 800. But it's really small. We tried it in the 7-on-7 test cup on ESL, but it was all right. It didn't really work because I think one of the sides was a little bit unbalanced. And a map has to be exceptional for it to really shine through and be picked for our map pool, the 7 maps we have. I think if any map is introduced and any map is removed, like Mines or Himmelsdorf, whatever, I don't think Himmelsdorf will ever be removed. I don't think Mines will ever be removed. I think if anything, it'll be like something like Abbey or maybe Ruinberg, where players, it's up to the players at the end of the day. We have votes and polls, and the players can decide which map they want to remove. It would be Cliff, which would go in. I think that's considered to be one of the best esports maps. I know the Russian scene play it a lot. That would be the favorite. I think it's one of my favorite maps as well. Maybe a little bit biased towards the north, but it's very small percentages, like 2 or 3%.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Last question of the night. Do you know if they're going to add a new Russian medium line in 9.0?
I haven't heard anything about it. They might do. I think the last set of Russian tanks they added was that the going up to the Object 140, the tier 10 medium tank. So honestly, having added that line, that Russian medium line already, I wouldn't see why they'd add a third one. You've already got the Object 140 in there. You've already got the Type 60. I think it's Type 62 or Type 60. But I don't think they're going to add another line. It's mental if they add another line, to be honest.
Okay, thank you very much, guys. You make my job really easy. Head over to our social media pages, follow us, like us, be part of our community. And, well, that's everything from me. And hopefully see you on Monday.
Well, we could close the show there. Everything's been covered, but no. We have had a great play day today, I've got to say it. Spale against Kaz and Crew, the two community favorites going head-to-head, and Spale actually broke through this time, and they looked really good. I've got to say it. They look like they could really push that top 3 if they keep that up.
They just got to keep on going forwards. They make sure that they're consistent. I think they had a lot of pride on the line, beating Kaz and Crew. It's the team they always want to beat. So they just need to have that kind of confidence and that momentum going up against teams they're maybe not so optimistic at being, or not so, doesn't mean quite as much to them. And if they do that, I don't see why they can't break the top 3. Even the top 2. They're a team that can certainly beat. We've seen them beat Virtus Pro many times before. They're the only team that consistently beats those Russian guys. So yeah, I think they just need to go forwards. They need to keep their heads up and make sure they get the consistency in their gameplay. Well,
I can't wait to see them in the later play days. And I've got to give credit to Evil Panda Squad as well. Those guys turned up today. They played really well. They played solidly. I think Mines we can kind of scrap in our minds, especially in their kind of aspects. They just got completely caught off guard there. Yeah, they didn't know what to expect, did they? They had no idea. Even when they spotted all the tanks, they didn't really understand the angles Ulanska Fantazja could come from. Yep. And, the IS-3 as well, we didn't think that would work, but it absorbed more than its fair share of damage. And that gave them, Ulanska Fantazja, the amount of time they needed. But for Ulanska Fantazja, they're a team that looks strong, and you said it before, they're a team that just needs to go that extra step. They need to have that 10% to win it. And if they do that, they're gonna maybe. I'm hoping that they hit that top 6, so we can see them in the grand finals, because they are really good guys. But that's going to be a struggle for them, but it's certainly something they can do. Yeah, it's not an easy road to the top, and well, it wouldn't be such a prestigious position if it was. So guys, if you have enjoyed today, and I really hope you have, I know we've loved it here. Watching Spale and Kaz and Crew battle out is always one of my favorite matches to have the pleasure of watching, because there's always that personality play going in, whether it be any of the players, Hyber coming into effect or not, should I say. It's always brilliant to watch. But guys, if you have enjoyed it, make sure you tune back in on Monday the 21st. We'll be going live at exactly the same time with all of us here, hopefully. And guys, hope to see you then.